Good afternoon, paranormal community, and thank you for partaking in this amazing episode of the Odyssey Files. I'm your host, Michael O'Neill. With me, as always, is my wonderful co-host, Mr. Anthony Hernandez. Good afternoon, Anthony. How you doing?
Good afternoon. I am doing great. A little bit later in the afternoon, but still a good thing.
That's right. That's right. Anytime we get to do the show with a wonderful guest is a good show indeed. And speaking of which, we're going to bring him on immediately because there's so much to talk about. And now we're bumping right up against the Super Bowl, so we want to make sure that people's loyalties are going to be split here in a second. So we want to make sure that our guest has all of their attention for as long as possible. He is a Marine combat pilot. He is an author. He has worked with Netflix on a bunch of shows. He's been in a bunch of shows and movies, and we're so happy to have him here. Please welcome Mr. Michael Selig. How are you?
I'm doing great, Michael and Anthony. Thanks for having me on. It's an honor to be here.
Oh, our pleasure. Trust me.
It will be, yes. Just based on the pre-show conversation, it's going to be amazing. But let's dive right into this because, like I said, we have so much to get to. So you wrote, obviously, International Bestseller, which is a huge accomplishment and just an honor. Book called Hush. And why don't you tell people kind of a little bit about like your career in the Marine Corps and just kind of your life in general and how it brought you to this point of trying to give kind of what has been called a soft disclosure of aliens, extraterrestrials, and and our Earth.
Sure. Thanks for that introduction. That's very nice. So I came out of the University of Arkansas with a history degree, went right into flight training for the Marines. I'd always wanted to be a pilot. Just when I was a kid watching the jets fly over and doing those crazy maneuvers, I thought, I want to do that one of these days. So fortunate enough to get accepted into flight training, which for the Marines is Navy flight training. When you go through flight training for the Marines, obviously you're going through Navy flight training. So Pensacola, Florida, kind of all that stuff. I was then selected for jet training, subsequently selected to fly A6 Intruders, which is an all-weather attack jet. All-weather attack jet kind of meaning when you can't see out of the cockpit, really bad conditions, weather, et cetera, and you're in a mountain range and you're trying to attack a target, that jet is specifically designed to do that. So the bombardier navigator who sits right next to me in the A6 Intruder paints a picture on my screen in front of me that kind of looks like the Death Star picture that Han Solo is flying in the, when they're attacking the Death Star. It's kind of that type of image. And so we can attack the target and then pull off. So fast forward, I get selected to fly in a gun squadron based out of Cherry Point, North Carolina. We're immediately sent over in 1990 for kind of our overseas deployment where we're doing practice, basically missions that we do around the world with other NATO forces to pretend like we're in combat. So we're kind of flying around. I'm in Iwakuni, Japan, Okinawa. I'm doing the border of North Korea. So my squadron is patrolling and doing combat exercises, but not in combat. At the end of 1990, we get the call that we're going to be the last squadron to be in Operation Desert Storm. So we get invited at the last second before the war kicks off. I think we arrived somewhere around the 5th of January, 1991, into the southern tip of Bahrain, which is a island just off the coast of Saudi Arabia. And I believe January 11th is the actual day. You have to look that up, but I may be off a day or so, but January 11th is the day that we took bombs across the fence and we didn't bring them back. So I flew missions in Operation Desert Storm, and the air war lasted 43 days. That particular Operation Desert Storm, had no ground troops going over the fence, so to speak. So it was just air sorties every day, 24/7. There was roughly 2,000 sorties a day. In addition to being a pilot, obviously, and flying combat missions each night. I was also, at that moment, the squadron intelligence officer. So I'm reading the top secret briefs that are coming in from around the planet via the secure traffic. And I'm also watching for any ones that are directly aimed at my squadron for something that we need to know about or whatever. But mainly I was just fascinated with reading, you know, I'm participating in combat missions, which was all about regular combat missions. In other words, troops were coming south, vehicles, military tanks, et cetera, et cetera. And our job at that time was to attack those forces. And it becomes the highway to hell, the Basra thing that you can read about if you read about Desert Storm. But I'm attacking bases. I'm attacking all the regular conventional combat type of sorties, a sortie being a flight. There are 2,000 sorties per night or per 24 hours during Operation Desert Storm. So you can imagine it was just insane. That means B-52s all the way down to helicopters, any kind of thing that flies. There were 2,000 sorties per night over Iraq. So you can imagine how crazy that was. And that's day and night. And then, you know, of course, they're hosing off everything they can up into the air. So I'm flying combat missions, but it has nothing to do with weapons of mass destruction. I'm reading top secret briefs, which have nothing to do with weapons of mass destruction. And I'm going to the officers' mess, eating, watching a big screen TV, which of course had CNN on it. And it's all about how the American forces and all the forces are saving us from weapons of mass destruction. So that was kind of my moment in time where I was completely perplexed. I knew I wasn't going to, do anything about it. I had a job to do. I was a pilot and I needed to do my missions and survive. That was my goal, right? Like not get shot down like my roommate from flight training actually got shot down and was a prisoner of war. That's kind of a whole nother side story, but yeah, and it ended well. Russell Sanborn becomes a major general becomes a major general in the Marine Corps and just retired. He was my roommate in flight training of all things, but he got shot down in a Harrier while I was there. Like it seemed like it was the third day of the war and was a prisoner of war, and fascinating story. But anyway, my job obviously was I want to survive these missions. So when I got out after one tour as a pilot, I knew I was going into film and music. I knew I was going to be going to LA because I've always been a storyteller. I've always been a writer. I've just always wanted to go into that world. And I knew after flying these high performance aircraft that I wanted nothing to do with flying, a big commercial airliner for the rest of my life. I would have just been bored to tears. So I went to LA, began writing, directing, producing. You mentioned a couple of the shows, and the way this all led to me writing Hush was because of what occurred during the conflict, where I was perplexed as I just knew there was a bigger mechanism, like a darker, sinister thing that was turning the screws at the top level. I knew it wasn't the American government. I knew it wasn't the American military. I knew it wasn't any government. I just had a sense this is a bigger, someone's holding the controls much higher here. That was the feeling. But I didn't know, I didn't have the time to research. I didn't have the time to pull the curtain back, so to speak. So I began writing screenplays over the many years. And then I started researching covert events. And I'll explain later how that came about, but I'll just say that I'm an insane researcher. Like when I get into something, just my friends will tell you, just stay away from it, because he gets so hyper focused on, if I'm trying to write about Roswell, I have to go so crazy with the research until it forms as a scene, and then I can kind of splat it out on the page. But until that time, until I feel it's organic, until I really know every step that my particular person that I'm researching, whether it's Mac Brazel or Eisenhower or Forrestal or Truman, I have to know everything about that person. I have to watch every video, read every book on who were their assistants, where were they, who said what where, who did what where, everything I can find, so that when I'm writing where they were or what was going on in the conflict of, say, Roswell, and covering it up, that I roughly know what happened. So essentially, about 3 years ago, I began writing Hush. And so now it's basically your covert history from about 1940 up until the Eisenhower era. And I'm about to begin on volume 2, but it's all about alien traded technologies and alien interactions with humans since the 1940s. It's basically the beginnings of what you know now to be around you.
It's interesting that you say that you're such a researcher, because you and Anthony look exactly alike. So
Well,
if you
he's a
talk
little
about,
better looking. Let's get with it. I mean, he's got the
well,
glasses.
I don't know about that, but okay.
I'm just saying you were both crazy about research. So
Yeah.
Yes.
if you want to talk about time travel, and there's a little bit of that in your book, but I know that's a big theory that is out there now, is that it's legitimately possible. It's just not within, so far from what we know, it's not within our abilities.
I'll give you a
Like I said,
hint, and we'll talk about it later. We have a time core, meaning a group that's a little
so
bit
there
ahead
is,
of us in time that comes back to work with us to make sure things go well. We'll talk about it later. It's more complex and more fun than you think, and beyond the wildest things I can imagine. I have learned it's beyond that.
all right, Anthony, you're up.
Man, that just blew my mind. But okay. Damn, let me get my
Just like we have a Marine
questions
Corps,
again.
just like we have a Marine Corps, we have a time core.
So just because I have to ask, so the time thing, are we talking like similar to what the Vatican's rumored to have with their that device that they have that can look into the future, that they
You mean like the
say is
looking
very
glass?
limited?
You mean
Yeah.
like the looking glass?
Yeah.
Yeah. So to kind of give you a Reader's Digest version, so a lot of this is covered in hush, but when I try to cover some of this stuff, instead of trying to give you the details of it, I'll just say this. Just remember that anybody that has the technology, so millions of years older than our civilization, that they have the technology to travel intergalactic space and come here, right? So the Vatican has rumors of having, let's say, a looking glass device, because they do have one. I'm just saying that ET races use looking glasses like you and I use binoculars. It's a technology that's been out there. It's not rocket science for those that use it. The Greys are known to use it a lot. But I will say this about that. As a minimum, your listeners can get on Gaia TV today, pay their $8, watch every episode of Cosmic Disclosure with Randy Kramer, and he talks very specifically and in detail about the time core, which is in operation now. And he gave that interview in 2020. It's been out there for 6 years. You're talking about mind control being so good and hiding in plain sight. Nobody on all the podcasts I go to, I'm like, have you guys watched Cosmic Disclosure every episode? There's 23 seasons of 6 episodes apiece, and all of your secret space program stuff is there, and those guys are the real deal. And so when you're surprised a little bit about Time Core, I'm like, I knew right away, like, well, they clearly haven't watched all of Randy's sessions. He's phenomenal, and he's literally a mouthpiece for the cabal at the very top level, trying to give out information. And I'm just, anyway, it's there available if you want to know the details about Time Core and how different timelines work. There's also Tim Tactical, who's on the same program being interviewed. He was a covert operative for the German, I'll just say, kind of the German deep state, working with multidimensional beings and Greys. Greys are known to use looking glass type technology. It's time technology. He very well describes the overall timeline and the many timelines that come off from it that can be set up for various reasons. And he has a discussion with Randy Kramer about time core and really ask all the questions that a regular human would ask, like, how does it work? And then Randy's like, well, this is, and you're just like, okay, it's just another technology. It becomes decompressed. It's not so magical. It's still magical. I'm just saying that it's all there. Everything that you want to know about it is right there on Gaia, on Cosmic Disclosure. It's kind of that easy.
Okay.
So what? That's interesting though, because I mean, a lot of the parts of your book, and I know that this takes back. Not a lot is done that takes place like today,
Mhm.
but a lot of it is the Roswell era, the 60s, the 70s, where the cabal will go to extreme lengths in order to keep everything under wraps, in order to, control the narrative or just get rid of the narrative altogether.
Mhm.
And so now, like, you have Kramer going out there, which you said is a mouthpiece for the cabal. So now are they trying to get the word out for a specific purpose? Or what is this 180? Whereas now, instead of this never happened to not only did this happen, here's how we did it.
Exactly. Good question, Michael. So this is how we keep all of us in confusion. How do we keep humans in confusion? We play both sides of the field. So if the cabal has been telling you initially, hey, it's just a weather balloon at Roswell, but the day before they said, oh no, we recovered a crashed alien ship, which is what they did. July 8th, 1947, headline news. RAF, the Army airfield just recovered a crashed alien ship. Very next day, no, it was a weather balloon. They'll play both sides all continuously, and here's why. If MD Selig says, oh, there's absolutely ETs here on the planet walking amongst us, this, that, and the other, and then the next day I say, well, I'm not really positive about that, what does that do? It makes you confused. And then it's easy to debunk. Or if even a debunker says MD has no idea what he's talking about, that's all been debunked, this, that, and the other. Look how quickly we bite on the debunked part. We bite on the debunked part because for all of our lives, they have played both sides. So to give you an instance, you guys are familiar with the Phoenix Lights?
Yes.
Okay. So now this is a mall-sized ship. Let me say that again. A mall, shopping mall-sized ship. Thousands of cameras on YouTube right now from all different angles in the same city. The ship is going by from, you can't fake it. Cannot fake it, right? It's a draconian ship. Silent. The size of a mall. Is anyone talking about it? Was there ever any big investigation? No. Are you still not talking about it today, where we have absolute, verifiable thousands of cameras from thousands of individuals still on YouTube from all different angles? You just can't fake it. You've got Kurt Russell, who was landing with his son in that moment, making a call like there's something over the runway. And then later on social media says, it took 6 months for me to even remember I made that call. It was until someone mentioned the Phoenix Lights. And I'm like, oh my God, I was there. He had missing time. All of this amazing evidence of factual humans connecting on a visual level with a ship the size of a shopping mall that's silent, moving across their city. Now just think for a second. Why don't we talk about it? Because the mind control is so good that somebody just says, I know everybody was saying that. And then how is there not a CNN investigation that's continuing to this day? What kind of ship was that? Whose ship was it? Who were the people involved? Why is that not? Just think about it. That is from 2009. Okay, let me just take it forward. The UAP investigation coming off the Nimitz, all of the UAPs flying. Kind of funny how it was blurry footage. Do you know of any F-18 footage that's ever blurry? I don't.
Oh.
I will guarantee you, I'm watching that footage going, man, that's completely doctored. My point is, even though it's a real event, and it's absolutely real, that's the same calls that I would make if I saw that. I'd be like, look at what that thing's doing. Wow, amazing. All those calls are legit. It's a legit event. Why are we not talking about it? Why is it not so investigated? Why is it not front page news? Because we're all in the narrative of they play both sides. It's not, blah, blah. And then pretty soon it's debunked. And then pretty soon it's just like, what? Okay, now we're on to the Epstein files. I'm just saying the mind control is so pristine, so well done by the cabal that on every single thing that comes out, including when the white hats, so we know the black hats and the white hats, we'll just say the black hats are the cabal just for the sake of this discussion. And then I'm going to end this little segment. The black hats of the cabal would probably not want Randy Kramer to step forward on Gaia TV. But he does for a number of reasons that he discusses, because the white hats and some of the black hats need there to be disclosure for a very big reason we'll discuss later. So he comes on Gaia in 2000. Nobody's watching. Nobody in the alien space that I know of has watched. I've watched every episode. Why only me? And I have vetted all these guys. I mean, he is absolutely the real deal. They're all talking about the same different missions. Tony Rodriguez wrote Series Colony Cavalier. He has roughly the same, almost the same trajectory as Randy Kramer. He was trained at the Lunar Operations Command, sent to Mars to learn how to fight insectoids. He has dealings with reptoids, with Draco reptilians. He's fighting on Mars where they're mining at. They're all the same stories, the same races, the same Ares Prime bases, the same spaceships, the same mile-long American Hillengarter named aircraft carrier that's in space that looks like a big cigar. It's all on Gaia. But because the debunking is so good and so quick on everything, nobody mentions it. And why isn't it front page news? This guy is talking about, but there's 6 of them on there talking about being in the secret space programs. They didn't even know each other. All those interviews are on there. Anyone can watch them. Nobody does. Nobody talks about the Phoenix Lights. Nobody talks about UAPs anymore. I mean, they talk about new UAPs. I'm just saying, every single day that you get something new, they play the opposite side. And sometimes they'll feed you something through a Congress mouthpiece, so to speak. It's all just limited hangout, when in fact, all of the information that you want to prove to yourself, volumes of information that we've been in space for decades, it's just on Gaia. If you don't go anywhere else, pay your $8, watch every episode, turn them up to high speed. Once you get to hear Randy for 2 minutes and you kind of got his vibe, go to 1.7 speed and go out and work in your yard and just listen to the information. I'm just saying it's there, but you have to put a tiny bit of work in. But it's unbelievable what's available already for you to know. You've had disclosure for 7 years now, but nobody's listening.
If you want to follow up, I have one, but I don't want to take your time, Anthony.
Well, I don't want to take yours either. But my follow up was, so being that we're talking about the disclosure and stuff like that, there seems to be, at least in my opinion, a sense of people don't want to know. Like, you could show them the proof and you could show them, like, to me, it's pretty undeniable that it's out there. And with the amount of officials and high ranking military personnel and all the stories and stuff that's out there. And there seems to be, for whatever reason, a large majority of the population that does not want to, they don't want that to be reality. So they just ignore it and keep going on with life. And any idea why you think that would be?
Right. So that's a really good point, Anthony. And my general feeling of it is because it's been so generational. In other words, all of my life, I tell people I constantly go through the 5 stages of grief. Why? Because I have been so deceived for so long, and now I'm aware of the deception. And, I'm just like, God, why is nobody watching Cosmic Disclosure? Why is nobody bringing up just the Phoenix Lights as one of a million examples? Why are we not discussing what is clearly factual, heavily backed up, clearly real situations that we should be talking about? And then I go, oh yeah, because generationally, when I was a kid, even to 20 years ago, I would say there was no such thing as aliens. I would just say, no, it's kind of, it's, Roswell was, no, that was a weather balloon, because it's been so well done, so pristine on what I call the hoodwink, that everyone's just now kind of like you guys are with me, even when I'm mentioning, well, there's a lot of information if you want to look at cosmic disclosure. And you guys are like, what? So for me, I'm like, I know you guys are going to get it, and you'll be able to kind of then have more questions to discuss, and certainly have any one of those guys on your shows. They're all amazing, and I've vetted all of them. I'll just promise you, if they're on Gaia, they're the real deal. There's no because of the amount of cross information that they're coming from, and their stories, like in Tony Rodriguez's case, he wrote his book in 2014 called Ceres Colony Cavalier, working for the Nazis on Ceres, a planet, and he's coming back and forth between Ceres and Diego Garcia, picking up stuff for space. It's the 405 transport that arrives every morning over our cloaked base that I've landed at, Diego Garcia, where stuff is brought into his transport ship from 20 years ago and taken to space. The amount of information there is all there. But coming back to your question, Anthony, about how is it that this is all, around us, and we're still not believing it? To me, the overall answer is because they've done it so well since we came out of the womb, that there's no such thing as aliens, and don't believe it. That dude, he's full of it. Everything gets debunked. I'll say one last thing. I'm convinced that if a gray came into your studio right now and held your hand, Anthony, and went smack about 7 times, and you'd be, okay, this is starting to hurt. Oh, dang, it's an actual gray alien. You would still be in shock. And then if he let go and walked away and your face was all red, you would look over at Michael and you'd go, is that red? That's how much your mind says that can't have happened. That whereas it's not really any big thing. They're everywhere. ETs are everywhere, with amongst us, in our planet, off planet. There's trillions of races, just like on our planet. There's lots of different humans from all over the planet, billions of us, different colors, different looking, different races. The multiverse is just that, more complex, and we've been in it. I should say a very small group of us has been in it for decades. So when that alien slaps you and your face is red, you're still going to go, Michael, did that just happen? Because that's how good the pristine mind control is we have been told over so much. It's ingrained in our DNA that there's no such thing as aliens. That's the only answer I have regarding that. But it's a great question, and I'm stuck on it almost every day. Like, how is no one asking questions? Why are we on the Jeffrey Epstein thing when we've got off-world contact?
Well, I just want to, this isn't a question, this is more of a statement, but I know if Anthony would have turned to me and asked me that, I would have been like, yeah, and it was hilarious. Because I absolutely would have let the Greg continue to smack him while I just watched and laughed.
Right. And as much fun as it is, it tragically, you can't even laugh about it, because that's exactly what would have happened. If a gray walked in right now and then walked out after making your face red, exactly what I said would have happened. You would have been in such shock as you were being slapped. And Michael, you would have been going, that's a friggin' gray alien slapping my co-host. There's just no way. And then the gray would have just looked at you, Michael, and given you some really tragic thoughts of humans destroying each other and cutting heads off and things like that, because that's what they can do.
That's rude.
And then walked out, and both of you would have been in such shock that you would have been looking for, okay, who was the actor that just did that? That's the first thing. What dude made that look so real? 3. Then you would have turned to each other. Then you would have laughed at him. And then he would have said, oh, so it was fake. Everything is leaned right against just belief. Like, there's other races, even though on our planet, There's so many races above and below water, above ground, below ground, and we can't see it. We don't want to see it, even though we have the capability. Really, what you're going to learn is we are kind of considered, humans are considered royalty in the multiverse because of what we offer, which is love, which is a dimensionality of our capabilities. The reason they didn't come here and wipe us out, because the malevolent aliens have been here long before we evolved, is because they want to control us because of what we're about to be, which is occurring this year. A very exciting time where we're being welcomed literally this year into the galactic community. You are going to absolutely know you're going to get the head smack this year.
So you're saying a new knowledge coming into the world.
It's not new. It's just that they're going to make sure that the face slap is significant enough that every human has to go, okay, I guess we've been welcomed into the galactic community. That's occurring right now as we're speaking. Things are happening.
So you're just not the only person that's
because of a number of reasons. Compression is happening, and I talk about that a little bit in the novel. Hush will get you up to this point in time of how natural things occur, dealing with the cabal. Why were they hiding it? Why can't they hide it anymore? We need boots in space. They need boots in space. More ships going outbound to mine on more planets. What do we need? Troops. We need people who can protect those ships. We need bodies. And because they can't keep stealing people like in the secret space programs where they clone them and use them for 20 years and try to bring them back, and now we're on to them because the mind wipe is not working, and enough secret space program personnel are coming forward going, I got used and I'm pissed and I never got paid and they used me for 20 years and I was tortured. And after a while, the cabal, kind of at the same time, this has to do with the compression that's occurring right now, is realizing we need to just have a draft. So you have Trump saying, oh, now we have a space force. Oh, really? We can't go anywhere. Why would we have a space force? Oh, imagine that. We suddenly have some anti-gravity technology, and Elon's not going to be blasting off his 1,000 ships per year with fossil fuel. I can promise you very quickly you'll get the news. Oh, we just discovered this anti-gravity technology, and lo and behold, Elon's got it, and his ships are now just going to launch anti-gravity from Earth. Yeah, because he's not only been supplying the other side that he doesn't speak about, working with the deep space programs and knowing all this technology and visiting other planets, but he now, because when you drive a car or fly a plane, you're paying for Elon, right? When you drive one of his cars, you're paying for him to be in space. So he's part of the cabal that doesn't want you to know, yeah, maybe I've been dealing in these reverse engineered technologies since the beginning. I'm just saying that's the way the cabal works. It's a feudal system they'd like to keep in place where regular humanity, we're just kind of the goon apes, and there's a very few super wealthy who get to travel, who get to explore space, who get to do these things. And the reason they keep it controlled is because we are worth money. We fund what they want to do, as we always have. That's just the way it works. It's covered in hush, but once you start to see the big picture, you go, God, it all makes sense. Why they would hide it. Why they would hide that aliens were even here. Because if we know that aliens are here, we know that alien technology is here. And why are we driving cars? Right? Does it make sense? If you are a Rockefeller and you own all oil, why would I let Michael Selig know that he doesn't need to drive a Jeep anymore when there's 0-point energy? Why would I
figure out how to make you pay for it?
Have to take a jet on United that doesn't even have fold-back seats when he could take an anti-gravity ship? Because he's going to fund my work. He's going to drive a Jeep. He's going to get on a plane, an oil-dripping plane, and he's going to fund it. That's what humanity does. 8 billion people funding the cabal to go ever further out in space, mine other planets, make more money, start to control other planets, start to control an entire system. It's the same small group of people that have owned the planet, the Rothschilds, the Habsburgs, the Rockefellers, the Bushes. Bush was wealthy well before his two sons became president. He was part of the cabal. I'm just saying that Their agenda is and Elon Musk, their agenda is no different than you or I. They have an agenda to remain where they are roughly in their space, meaning their financial space. They don't have any agenda to step forward through a congressman and say, hey, we're going to open the alien museum and let you see all these old ships that we've been reverse engineering for 70 years. We want to apologize. There's no agenda for that. That's why I'm saying you're not going to get disclosure, but it's coming because of needing boots in space. So it'll come very quickly now.
That's always kind of been my theory, is that they're not headed towards disclosure as we would think that it is. It's to get us prepared mentally for like the big reveal or whatever it is that they're trying to do. But I had like 4 questions, and now I got them all set.
Mm-hmm.
So even though this is not that important, there has been something that I can't believe the source that it came from, but it always seems to be the case. Ozzy Osbourne was watching some, I don't know if it was a YouTube UFO video or whatever it is he was doing on one of the shows he was on, but he said anything that you see now, the military's had for 30 years.
Yeah.
So my question is, besides, the anti-gravity drive, which is amazing in and of itself, are there any sort of things that we use in everyday life that came from reverse engineering?
Almost everything. So fiber optic technology, all the AI, and pretty much your entire world. Let me give you a quick example of how simple this would be if I take it to a bigger picture. I think this will make it simpler for your listeners. And I know your listeners are brilliant, but I'm going to give you a very basic example of how technology moved. Yeah, they're top notch. So I'm going to give you a very basic example of the exponential speed with which we, just as humans, have worked. So let's just say, Michael, that you grab your iPhone and we take you back just 100 years. Okay, so let's go to 1899. Who is the top scientist on the planet? No doubt about it. It's Nikola Tesla. Okay, he's brilliant. Everybody will confirm he's brilliant. He may be the smartest human of all time in certain ways, right? Okay, so we'll all agree that he's a bright guy. And you walk up to Nikola and you're like, Nikola, I got to show you this cell phone. Now check this out. Your friend right there, I'm going to give her one, and she's going to walk 200 yards over there. Now this is only 1899, so let's just make it 1900 for easy. 100 years ago, okay, roughly. So she walks a little ways, and Nikolai's like, no, this can't work. No, I know every bit of technology. I know all physics. I know everything. This isn't going to work. All of a sudden, the video pops on Michael's phone, and Nikolai is watching her, and she starts talking to him, and he's like, oh my, okay, it's working. I don't know how it works, but it's working. Now that's only 100 years, and you guys have experienced it. You have an iPhone. Nikola Tesla didn't. There is no way. He's saying there's no way this works, but it's only 100 years ago. Now, just for a second, consider that there might be a civilization on some planet that's 1,000 years older than us. 1,000 years. It's kind of breathtaking to think what 1,000 years of technology, if you only went 100 years back and you're giving Nikolai an iPhone, what would 1,000 years do? Now let's just take it to the next level. How about a civilization that is 20 million years older than us? Okay, now you're starting to understand the multiverse. That's the way it is. That's what the secret space program personnel are talking about. You're talking about technologies far beyond Star Wars, which wasn't written by George, far beyond Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which wasn't written by Stephen. You're talking about technologies that have been out there for millions of years, trade routes in space. It's all on Gaia, on the secret space program, talking about we're worth more as humans if we're amalgamated with some technology. So they give us these crazy suits and we go through mind wipe at the end of it. And we're not supposed to remember that, but I did. And it's the same suits that the other guy had, and he got mind wiped. It's the same suits that Emery Smith is using 50 floors down at Kirtland Air Force Base in 1980, 50 floors below, working next to a praying mantis ET on another ET doing an operation. I'm just saying, it's all been out there, and it is far beyond your greatest imagination, which is great. It's magical, but it's been out there. It's just like the more you study it and the more you're in it and just watch Gaia, you'll be like, oh my gosh, he's just talking about like, this is what we did and this is regular fare. And it's so complicated, you can't make it up. And yet it all makes sense. Like when he's talking about, we go on combat missions and we have watched reptilians, when a missile is coming at them, raise their hands. This is reptilians, like think lizards standing up, raise their hands as the missile's coming in, pull their hands down. And we've watched the missile veer off because of psionics. And so now the secret space programs are training in psionic battle, how to use our multidimensional capability to literally veer a missile off as a group, but take it to the next level. Michael Jaco is on there too, former SEAL Team 6 fighter, one of the best, put into the secret space programs. He's talking about, they take us to Venus. Yes, you can breathe on Venus, and the people there are really beautiful and loving. And they take us there as a platoon to learn how to fight with love. That's how badass we as humans, only humans, a lot of ET races don't have any emotions. This thing that we have, our superpower, we're literally revered in the multiverse for what we're about to be, for what we're stepping into this moment. And I can promise you, as you'll watch on Gaia when he's talking about, we confront forces now that are used to be absolutely, it was going to be a fight and battle and people were going to lose their lives. We confront forces now with energy of love. We're weaponized and they see us coming, but we kind of stand there like, you want some of us? And he's like, there are certain groups now that will just lay their weapons down like, okay, we're done, because ETs are fighting with energy. And when they realize they're up against humans that are bringing love, think about that for a second.
Okay. So one of the things that, so I have a very, very close friend. Her name is Sina. She's been on the show many, many times, and she's like an actual very close personal friend. And she's been harping at me for years about a lot of the stuff that you talk about in your book. But one of the things that I've heard from multiple sources is like the Earth is an experiment. And my question is that what the experiment is? To figure out, to get us to evolve enough so that we know how to use like our emotions and then connect that into energy and be able to do it because kind of as a global consciousness. Is that kind of
So
what
good
the
question.
experiment is?
Well, so now again, this is just my research and from studying what all the secret space program personnel talk about, as well as abductees who have been abducted, either benevolent or malevolent, across the world. All of the information that comes back, that's what I study. In other words, what comes back from ET races. What I understand about the origins of the planet is that roughly 28 of the best of the benevolent ET races. So it's a 95 to 5% ratio, 95% being benevolent races in the multiverse. So you're in a safe space. But the 5% that are kind of the known thugs of the multiverse happen to be the Draco reptilian is one of the factions of a species that's amazing and benevolent. Reptilians are benevolent and want humans to flourish, but they have a faction, just like humans have the Nazis. We have a faction we might not consider to be the best representation of humanity. but there are Nazis. And the Draco Reptilian are known as the planet-conquering hordes in the multiverse. They are feared everywhere, and there's a good reason they're feared. I won't go into the details of that. It's in hush. But they, along with the Greys and the Blondes, came here 240 million years ago, well before we evolved on the planet. Why? They came here because of fear, and this goes to your question, Michael, of what we humans were about to evolve into. So they can use looking glass technology as any ET race can that's even semi-advanced. They can see what's about to arrive on the planet Earth. So Earth itself is not necessarily the experiment. Earth is just the planet that we were beakered into, so to speak, by these benevolent races. And before we even evolved on the planet, those three malevolent groups who are willing to break the Prime Directive, who are not supposed to be in contact with any race and evolve them. That's the Prime Directive. All ET races have to sign, it's physically sign the Prime Directive. All ET races in the multiverse. You cannot evolve any race on any planet beyond their natural evolution by giving them technology. You just can't do it. That's the Prime Directive. Hence Prime, Star Trek, not written by those writers, so to speak. I'm just saying it's all been there before. Prime has to do with the benevolent races have stayed outside. They've watched everything that's occurring here. But an installation was put here before we even arrived on the planet. The moon was brought here. So there's Hopi poetry that says that's all before the moon, and there's Hopi poetry after the moon arrived. Your great planet up there that was my muse for so many years and kind of a heartbreaker for me doesn't rotate. There's not one moon around any planet that doesn't rotate naturally as an organic thing. Our moon is not organic. It is a space station that's hollow, that has many bases on the backside, including the Lunar Operations Command, Draco Reptilian bases, gray bases, and every major E8 country has their own base on the backside of the moon. Ours has been there since the early 70s, the Lunar Operations Command. It's run by the CIA. All of these secret space program personnel go through it. The TR-3B does daily flights to it out of McCord, and Station D, which is Area 51. I'm just trying to give you a broad picture that they came here before we evolved because of fear. So this is the badass races out, the thugs of the universe knew that we were going to eventually take over everything. And we're a warrior race. And that's why they came here, because of fear. And their attempt to control us has been very effective up until this year. They've had it. They've worked it. We don't believe there's aliens. Remember, we just had that discussion. We don't realize we're off planet. We're still fully controlled. But this year, it's flipping for those things that I talked about, because of compression, because of boots being needed in space, because now we're just big enough to where we're moving out, and because a number of other great things. It's almost like a critical mass is occurring, where we're now, I tell people, start working from here, not from your head, but from your heart, because this is your superpower. This is your multi-dimensional capabilities. They came because they knew that when this occurs, which it's occurring now, we will eventually administer the entire multiverse. That's how we're viewed as royalty by other races. Because even though we're a warrior race, we're kind of the good, kind of the light warriors, so to speak. We're only going to step in if somebody's messing up really bad. It's kind of like when America was at its best, and we really only did step in when somebody was doing something wrong, and we were the good America that didn't do things like stealing jets like MH370 that I cover in Hush. Back when we were doing the right thing, right? We brought the fist, and you didn't mess with America when we said, Hitler, that's not right. You can't just do that. We're going to stop that. That's what we're seeing, and that's what they're excited about. We will eventually administer this multiverse, and it's happening right now. The transition is occurring right now because of that natural situation, because we're done with them. The Earth, she's done with them. Sophia, as I call her, she's raising her vibrational frequency, and they physically can't stay on the planet. That's how it works. those malevolent races, because of the vibrational frequency of the planet rising, because we're stepping into what's called the fourth frequency, because we're becoming who we are finally, because the earth is done with it. She's done with this. She's the mother bear standing up, taking her cubs with her. All of them literally have to physically leave the planet, and it's happening right now.
Sorry to put
go
you on
ahead,
the spot, Anthony.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you put me on the spot there. So, coming from your background and a fighter pilot and everything like that, how hard or how did you transition to coming from your heart rather than your head, as far as like the warrior mentality and stuff like that?
Yeah, great question. So make no mistake about it. I've got the warrior mentality. It just steps out from a different place. And not that the warrior mentality is good, but the warrior mentality meaning I've had enough, right? I've had enough of the deception. So now the good warrior is stepping ahead going, I could care less whether you can kill me if you want, but those of us that are coming from love, we're bringing it. So how did I get there from, hardcore combat here, do the mission, you mean that, to this place where I'm realizing, just because of my knowledge of doing research. And also I have, I'll just say it, I have a committee that helps me when I write. And I'm not saying that I use AI. I'm saying I am now, from getting in touch with myself enough by getting quiet from here and letting this simmer down, let the head simmer down. But I've learned over the years now to open from my heart, just from listening to ET races saying, you guys have any idea what you got? Like, do you have any idea what you are? And I realized over time, oh, there are certain humans that are known in India. They'll levitate objects right in front of you. It's a known thing. It's been documented. And then right now, on this day, you can get on YouTube, watch the African-American woman. I just saw the video the other day. I don't have her name because I'm pretty busy, but I think it's Josh is the web host for that particular deal. But just type in African-American woman using psionics. They cover her head with like 3 different blindfolds. And he's like, okay, audience, now everybody is seeing this. She's going to show you what psionics is. And he goes to a group of books. And I mean, there's just a big old slab pile of books. And he just grabs a book. You can tell he's not looking. He holds it up and she goes, Grapes of Wrath. You can see the title as he's holding it up. She can't see anything. They've put like 3 different blindfolds on her, right? They walk behind her with a black triangle. She's like, black triangle. And then the dude just starts pulling up book after book. And before he's even raising One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, he's getting it halfway. You can see the title. And he's just raising it at normal speed. She's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. She is naming them the second he puts his hand on them. And so then what you realize is you go, of course, like going to the gym, over time, what occurred for her was her daughter had crazy abilities, which her daughter is now being used by the military. And her mom realized, oh, I have some of this too. So her mom goes on the show, but then in the show, she actually says, my daughter is at the level where if I'm on the phone with her and I raise the book, she'll psionically tell me what it is. And you go, okay, well, it's just what you start to realize the more you research this, and you guys know this on some level, you know this. We all have it. All humanity is multi-dimensional. We are the best of all the top benevolent races. Your capabilities, literally, when we step into our telekinetic abilities, not only can you move a feather pretty quickly, if you learn to work with one that's in a vacuum, you can move it. But you can move much bigger things. It's just like going to the gym. We have to develop capabilities that since children, we were always told, you don't have any of those abilities. We have all of them and more. I'll just say this. Every human, there's no gurus here. Every human has capabilities that are literally unspeakable. It's a function of understanding what you want to do with your capabilities and then going to the gym in that capability. If I want to, I'm going tomorrow to meet with a woman who is an amazing telekinesis teacher who I met on a podcast. I'm meeting with her tomorrow to work on my telekinesis. If you want a remote view, as you guys know, with remote viewers, they get better daily. And you can get on Farsight Prime. I like those guys. Get on there, look at the 1 hour video on how to do it, watch the video, and over 3 or 4 days of doing their targets, which all you get is a number. And then after you remote view it and write down everything you can push the button to target reveal what your target was. After 3 days, my targets were getting pretty accurate. I was drawing the building in Israel that is the Wailing Wall. I didn't know that was, I just had the number. My psychic capability had enhanced over 3 days. The guys like Dick Algier and Daz Smith, who do it every day, all day, they've just nurtured that skill. And this is the very tip of the iceberg of what all of us as humans can do. Literally travel out of body anywhere in the multiverse. I know it seems far-fetched. I'm telling you, it's far beyond that, your capabilities.
I don't doubt it at all. In fact, my friend that I just mentioned a little bit ago has been trying to teach me how to develop mine. So because we have so much, I'm going to move on from this, but God, I have so many questions. Because I really do want to understand like everything. And I know that's going to take more than, an hour and a half.
Hush covers a lot of this through my
Yes,
protagonist. You'll learn essentially, and I'll give you a hint without revealing too much. Viola Kells in the story is my protagonist. She's a 30-year-old physicist, but she goes through the ringer like I did of how much grief you go through when you start to realize how much you've been deceived your entire life. And so her story is kind of my story, but her story also involves actual covert events so that you kind of get both sides. You're getting what it's like to be hoodwinked, and you're getting the actual stories of what, as best I can tell, actually occurred during those covert events. And you're starting to understand the capabilities in the hijacking by the CIA of MH370, where it's teleported. You're starting to get a hint of the technologies the cabal has had since the 60s, to include plasmoid teleportation of any object, including a jet that is in flight and on fire. Those capabilities have been out there forever in the multiverse. And our cabal, that literal group at the very top that's been in control of these technologies, has had those capabilities since the 60s. We just got lucky because in 2014, Edward C. Lynn, a lieutenant commander in the Navy of Asian descent, was pissed off when he was realizing that he was involved in an operation that had to do with the hijacking of Asians out of Malaysia. And he realized that the teleportation that he was involved in was absolutely something that the public needed to be aware of. And he leaked those videos and eventually did 9 years of hard time for that. I'm just telling you, those technologies have not only been out in the multiverse forever, but our cabal on this planet has had those technologies and didn't want them to go to China. Hence, they decided the cabal, which it does, will massacre 239 innocent civilians to make sure that China doesn't get that technology. It's in hush, but I'm just saying all of those technologies, everything you and I can imagine, has been there for decades.
So you mentioned your protagonist is kind of I don't know, parallel to your journey.
Mm-hmm.
Just obviously, a little bit different here and there.
Right.
Since you've written this book and since you have started your research, because I'm assuming that, like most things, when you start to dig down into the rabbit hole, you catch people's attention, especially if it's coming out that you're about to write a 500-page book. true. It's fiction.
600,
In
Michael.
quote.
Come on.
Okay, 600.
Okay, I'll give you a break. I'll give you
500 plus.
Go ahead with your question. I'm good. I just had to teach you.
I understand. Completely understandable.
That 100 pages, Michael, took me an extra 4 months. Damn it.
I don't doubt it. I mean, it
No, go
it's
ahead.
very,
Stay on board with your question. I'm just having some fun.
Have you ever been approached or have you had communications with somebody from one of the benevolent races? I've no doubts that you probably either have had communication or been approached by like a member of the military or somebody in that field. But have you ever had conversations like Violet did with some like a hybrid, somebody of a benevolent race to help you along the way to get this information out?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So only at the end of writing Hush, so Hush took me 3 years to write. At the very end of writing Hush, so Lincoln is my assistant who keeps me sharp on all these podcasts and because I'm on a lot of them lately, and he kind of keeps me. He's the one who runs my publishing company. He's my best friend, and he's produced movies with me. So we've kind of gone through the ringer together over many years. But as I got to the end of Hush, unlike all the screenplays I've written over many years, things started to happen, kind of freaky things in the sense of the amount of information that was coming to me, different than the way I normally research, the way I was being blown around. I say like a dandelion, like this feeling of go over there and interview Michael and go over there and interview Anthony. You need to know this information today and this tomorrow. And the way it all came together, the way I identified I'm the only one, not that he wasn't identified by vocal experts who I know were quashed, but I'm the only one. If you get the audible of Hush, you're going to hear the actual radio calls of MH370. And I'm identifying where the pilot who's on the ground, which is Farik Mead, who is the co-pilot of MH370, he's very Asian accented, is no longer speaking as of liftoff when the CIA hijacked the jet, murdered those 2 pilots, got them out, and Benjamin R. Waters takes over. I'm identifying for you in the audible, the actual radio calls, and you can clearly hear the switch to the American accent, which I do for you before the actual radio call. The reason I bring that up is all of this information came at the very end of writing Hush, stuff I could have never gotten, where I realized, oh, it's not just the jet and the leaked videos by Edward C. Lynn, which I knew was a 767, which is a very rare, so to speak, commercial bird. You guys have probably never flown on a 767. I haven't. You normally fly on 727s or a 747 or a, do you see what I'm saying? The bird alone is kind of rare. So on those 2 videos where an MQ-9 Reaper drone is clearly videotaping MH370 on fire and descending, who would do that? What military would track, because remember, drones have to be in place. They can't catch up to a fast-moving commercial jet. They have to be in place. A trap had to be set for those drones to film from 2 separate angles to watch a jet disappear. So as I'm watching all of that, I'm like, but who's doing it? And all of a sudden, through, I'll just call them the committee, information started to come in where I'm being directed to go here and there. And then pretty soon the puzzle is coming together more rapidly than I knew what to do with. I couldn't splat it out fast enough. So when you're reading Hush, I can absolutely promise you I would not write about the massacre of all those families. I can't write it unless I absolutely have it verified through various sources exactly what occurred at every point of that flight. And this committee, which I was telling Lincoln about back then, I'm like, bro, weird stuff is happening. It's good stuff. All I can say is to kind of close this out. There is a committee that directs me. And again, 2 days ago on a podcast, I had to look over at Lincoln, who's normally on this side laptop over here, where I look at him, I'm like, are you hearing what's being said right now? A woman who's on a podcast who's interviewing me wanted to tell me about a specific event that she went through herself in 2001. I won't go into that event right now, but it's an event that I'm working on. And what she went into was information that I had already told Lincoln. There are other aspects of this I don't know about yet. I can't write about it yet. And I get on this podcast and this stuff starts coming out, and I look over at Lincoln and he's spooked. And I'm like, this is my benevolent group that directs me where to go next. I'm just saying it happens. It's been happening. And I'll put this out. Just recently, within the last couple of days, I realize for all of us, if you get closer in here, you will find most likely you have the committee with you as well. The reason that you're on this fascinating podcast where you're helping 1 million people raise an awareness, and that you're driven to be here, that both of you are passionate about this, about getting information about getting to the truth, pulling the curtain back. It's not just you. You'll find the more you get your 5 minutes in each morning. I just tell people, I sit on the toilet for 5 minutes a day. We all do. We all know that. Nobody wants to admit it. We're all on the toilet at least 5 minutes a day. Come on, folks. We are. I'm just saying, set aside 5 minutes to turn off your technology. Light your little piece of sage, set it by you, get quiet for 5 minutes, and open your heart. Don't try to get this quiet. Just open your heart. Let your brain decode what's coming out. I will guarantee you, not only will you have molecular changes that begin occurring immediately. I mean, show up every day for that 5 minutes. Very quickly, your 5 minutes is going to become an hour. And in my case today, like an hour and a half, because you're in a space where you realize, oh my, I'm home.
So now I have to ask a follow-up question for this, because he asked from that aspect. I am curious because I have done lots of digging into the CIA with MK Ultra and Mockingbird and stuff like that. Has anyone reached out to you and kind of told you politely or impolitely to knock it off, or to stop doing what you're doing, or go a different direction with anything?
No, I think they kind of realize with me, my book's already out there. I mean, if they want to shoot me or kill me, they can. But like I said, it's kind of like at this point, those of us that are coming from love, we're bringing it, and we're literally unstoppable. So they can kill me. I care less. It's just my avatar. I'm here, and I'll only get bigger if they. So I think they kind of know, like, it's going to be easier to debunk me, which I'm sure, at some point will come. I could care less. What I know is when you step forward with love, all of this technology, all the alien stuff, the ET stuff, all this stuff that we're discussing, the craziness of the planet and why they're doing that to distract us more from going in here. Because this is what they fear that you're going to do, is get so tired of everything that you go in. And that's what's occurring now on the planet. It's like a critical mass of people starting to go inside because they're realizing CNN and all the different platforms that you can be on social media, every other reel is violent, right? And that's what the cabal, the mind controllers want you to keep. They want you to keep going away from your heart, because they fear if you start attaching here, that then and it's occurring anyway. So they're kind of on the run. To answer your question, I'm at the place where I just don't have any fear anymore. Not only about life or death. I've just learned, like, through going inside. I was here before. This avatar will eventually die, but I'm still here, right? Like, we write the script. You get to learn through the ET races. They all kind of know it. Like, you write your own script coming in to learn about yourself as love, to grow through this ride that we do as a human in an avatar, all the emotions and all the hard days that we go through. But what happens? Your vertical learning curve of you as love grows, right? We grow on those hard days where we have heartbreak or tragedy or whatever. We grow as love. And that's essentially all you came to do. You chose to do it. You as love. We're all just one at the end. We're kind of all one being, but we do have an individual consciousness. But to answer your question, at the end of the day, like, I don't really want them to torture and kill me. I prefer just to be killed. But I'm just saying, I don't even fear that. Like I'm only going to, you know what I mean? there's too many of us now coming from love, just like you guys. They're not stopping this freight train. They are not stopping it, and they are definitely on the run. So at this point, I'm like, bring it. You're going up against love. You really want some of me? I don't think you do.
I talked to you a little bit about this before we came out on the show, and it goes right into what you were just talking about. And then it's so, not to give anything away, it's a spoiler alert for the next 10 seconds, but towards the end of the book, the word's out. Like, I'm just gonna, the drape isn't over. Like, not so much like disclosure as we would think it, but like physical proof is out in the open, and you still have the main villain of this story trying to publicly, in the middle of the day, around journalists, around cameras, around satellites, around a whole group of people, are still trying to assassinate her, your main protagonist. So my question is, because I know you're not scared of it, which is great, but I mean, in your research, and especially because you talk about all the time, whether it's the plane, whether it's witnesses to a crash landing, they're willing to go to extreme lengths in order to keep this covered up. But now, like, your book is out and Kramer's show is out, and all of this, they're having congressional hearings about UAPs. So I mean, how far now are they willing to go? Is it still like that, that you're disappearing, or is it, now that you're out, we're just going to ride it and try to steer it where we want it to go?
Well, it's a little bit of both, because remember, they need boots in space now. They physically have to have bodies in space, and they need human bodies. So essentially, right. So there now has to be, we have consignment around a war where they force you to go, and we have drafts. And what the cabal needs is boots in space. So now it just makes it so much easier if they can open up disclosure, because they realize they've lost this battle of trying to keep it hidden. There's just too much with the internet and everything else. There's just now too much information. They can't stop this rising of the planet. They can't stop the rising of humanity too. Like, the cabal realizes their feudal system of controlling all humanity, it's over. They're on the run, and they're fighting hard to hold on to it. That's why your news is getting chaotic now. Anything they can do to spin you from going in, Epstein one day and UAPs, and then not, and then the next day it's another assassination, it's a world leader, and then it's the Putin war, and then it's Iran, Iraq, and it's all fear, and it's all stuff to get you to go out. But when you go in, that's where humanity reaches the critical mass. They physically will have to leave the planet. And I will tell you that the cabal, and I'm coming back to your question, Michael, but the cabal at the very top levels, when I say the top, the folks who control the planet, are not humans anymore. So you got to remember that ET races that came here from long ago and have been here and have the technology to come here, do they then have the technology to take over a human? Absolutely, they do. Can they have a reptilian agenda and look like Trump? Yes, they can. Are they human at all at that level? No. And you wonder why the hoodwink is so pristine, and why the deception keeps on so well, and why we're constantly deceived, and why we spin on Epstein and all these things that they want you to spin on, which don't serve you. That you could solve it in your brain all day long. Is it going to serve you? No. But do you like to bite on it? Yeah, because it releases a chemical of fear that we bite on, because we wake up every morning in fear, right? We all do. And then what do? We want to get on technology and go find out on what's happening, and we try to solve it here. And that's what they want you to do, because they're fearing that you might get tired of it and go here. And what I'm saying is, when you flip that and you start stepping out from your heart, everything that you're watching just becomes like, I don't even need to see that now. I'll just turn that off. Me spinning on that is not going to solve anything or serve me in any way. I might want to explore my crazy nut capabilities that I actually have and see what I can do with those. Now, getting back to, remind me again, 'cause I went off a little bit. Remind me again the overall general question that we were rolling on.
Are they still willing to go that far,
Yeah.
like
Okay.
to
So about
disappear
telling
people,
people. Yeah.
or
Yeah.
are they willing to just steer
No,
it
no,
to where
no.
they want
So
it to go?
yes, people will still suicide. I'll just let you guys know, if I decided to jump off a cliff, it probably wasn't me.
We would never think so.
I'm a pretty happy cat, right? You're not going to find me crashing my car off the side of the highway unless someone's crashed into me to force me off. I'm just saying, if I suicide, it most likely wasn't me that suicided me. If I suddenly get heart conditions, I might have been hit by a DEW weapon. They could certainly use that even through this computer. That technology is there. Yeah. So if they wanted me, certainly, on any level, they're going to have that. I could care less. I've had an amazing life. I'm doing what the committee wants me to do. I believe you guys are here and you'll find your committee. The committee is there, meaning the benevolent races that are here that have been helping you. When you feel like your life is slightly preordained, like, God, I don't know why I went over there, but I went over there and it drove me to do this. You ever have that feeling? Right? All the time, right? Like, why am I interviewing MDC? Like, why do I need to know this right now? Because of these benevolent races that are all around you that help you, because we're all multidimensional. We're connected to all of them. And they don't have to stand in front of you to go, Michael, go interview MD Selig. You need to know this information today to get this information out to your amazing listeners who are going to spread the word. We're coming. We're here. It's happening right now.
Yeah, I'll admit, Debbie, who I think obviously works with you and Lincoln, she's been sending me emails and booking people for like a year, and you're the only one that I've ever responded with. Because and
it's not me, Michael. It's not me. That's your committee. That's not my committee. That's your committee going, get him on your show.
and that's what it is. Because I read everyone that she sends, and I talk to Anthony about it, but I never reach out. And then finally, I was like, "Do you want to bring him on? It sounds like this is something that's right up our alley." And yeah, I finally did it, and obviously now you're here. But I usually call them my guides as opposed to the committee. Now, do you? I don't know if this is even.
I just made up the committee because it feels like there's more than one of them. And I feel like sometimes when I'm just like having the worst day ever, I literally see them standing up on a balcony somewhere and they're just going like, you're fine. You're going to bring it. Keep friggin' going. Like, do you ever have that sense of like somebody behind you?
No.
I have that feeling sometimes when I'm I'm just at my wit's end. I'm bummed and depressed, in the moment. And then, I can always do things like a little workout or clean my room and suddenly my self-esteem is back up and I'm back to normal. But and maybe this has to do with the last 5 years. I've been opening my heart. I've been defending my 5 minutes. Nobody gets into that space. When I make my little breakfast in the morning and I sit down with my cup of coffee, I put my little sage by my window, even if I'm in a hotel room. That space, nobody gets to enter, not Lincoln, not anybody. I defend it because it's become by far the most important moments in my life. And I'll tell you one last thing on that topic of the committee, and all of us are kind of connected in your own committee. Call it your guides, whatever. It's that thing that is tangible for you, right? Mm-hmm. This morning, again, and I told Lincoln this right before your show, before 2 shows ago. I had another moment this morning in my garden, in this space where, like Rumi says, when you reattach to yourself and remember who you are as love, you're never so content. And when I was in that space this morning, I literally had the thought again, like, wow, this is the happiest moment in my life. And I've had that literally like 4 days in a row now, where the quiet, the sublime, unspeakable thing that we all are when we get quiet and are in that space is so far beyond words that you'll have that sense tomorrow, if you want it, of, oh my, you're kind of everything and nothing. You're not in your body, but it's this feeling of, I'm at home finally, and I have access to it at every moment, and it's beyond generosity, it's beyond happiness. And I'm just saying, it's available to everyone at all times. It just took me years, and I'm no spiritual guru. I'm saying it's accessible to everyone literally tomorrow if you, but I'm just saying that has now changed how, when I talk about the committee and you talk about your guides, try finding your 5 minutes and defend it, and just stand back. Expect nothing. Just expect nothing. Stand back. It happens for everyone because we're all the same thing. We're all just love. Watch what happens in that space.
You have anything, Anthony, or I can?
No, I was just going to say, you call them guides. He calls them the committee. Back in the ancient times, they used to be called the muses. So I was going to say, it's all, to me, it kind of all the same thing.
Yeah. And just remember this, all the gurus, the Buddhas, the Jesuses, the Quran, the Bible, the everything that people go to kind of find their direction, it's all valid. But all of the text and all of the gurus, Amanda Maya Ma, Muhammad, all of them, they're all saying the same thing. Your kingdom of heaven is within. And they've all been saying the same thing forever. There's no spiritual masters here. We're all the same. We all have access to this amazing garden that we are. Each individual is. It's just a function of like going to the gym. If you'll go there and defend that space, just like when you go to the gym, you get better at lifting weights, right? You get better at doing the techniques that you do in the thing that you're passionate about. You just do. You practice it because you're into it. You guys get better at podcasts every day because you practice it. Imagine now that you have something that you can practice beyond your wildest imaginations, and it is so beyond magic, and that you have that right now that you can access. Who doesn't want to go there?
So I hate to say this because this like what I mean by that is this will probably be the last question of the show, because like I said, both Anthony and I probably have 20 questions each to dig into this. But I think that I'm being told that this is a very important part of what you just said. And for me, I've been accused, I don't know where she gets this notion that I am very much in my head. Like I am in my head all the time, and I'm stuck in my human, and are all phrases that I hear all the time. And I have tried to get out of it. I've tried to do what you have just said. But to me, unless it's the Reader's Digest summary of how to do it, like how do you go inside yourself? How does somebody like me, who has spent, we'll just say, a decade or two in my head constantly, how do I teach myself not to do it? Like, do you have any tips? Do you have a step-by-step process on how somebody who's trying to do this could do it?
Yeah. So it's a perfect question. And I'll just tell you this, Michael. Nobody has more monkey mind than the guy you're looking at. Nobody. I'm
You know,
more crazy than
gi-
you. Trust me.
give me some credit here.
I am way more crazy than you. As much as you're in your head, I promise you, I'm on steroids. Okay. And I say that to let everybody know that here's what changed for me. We're talking about the brain. And what I'm saying is, I long ago, a few years back, I was trying to get quiet in my brain because that's what I thought you were supposed to do is like, take my 5 minutes and get this thing to calm down. This thing doesn't calm down. So just let me reset a visual for you. Your heart, when you sit down tomorrow or even today, when you find your 5 minutes and you make sure all technology is off and no one's going to contact you, find your space. And, like I said, this is your fortified space that becomes your magic ground and nobody gets to come in. It's that great. When you find your space, I just want you to sit, but this time, don't worry about the crazy monkey mind. Allow it to go crazy. But here's what I want you to do is just go, okay, big heart, let's just see if I just go, I'm just going to try to visualize opening my heart. Just that simple thing. Your heart, oh my, as it starts to come alive, the very first 5 minutes, not much will happen. But just imagining your heart opening, going, hey, what can you see, heart? And allow your brain at that point to just interpret what the heart is getting so that your brain's not really engaged anymore. It's like you want the brain to decode what this is doing. And what you'll find is when I just open my heart, it's kind of like calm. There's really nothing happening. I might kind of sense energy or something. But because we've never tried to open our hearts, what you find is it's very quiet. There's really nothing going on. But then as you just kind of keep visualizing, okay, I'm just opening my heart. I'm seeing, like, I'm just imagining yourself as expansive, as heart energy. What then occurs is it's like a window will go like that somewhere in your 5 minutes, and you'll go, what was that? And your brain will try to wrap around that split second of, oh, what was that magic thing that just occurred? And, as soon as you try to put your head around it, your heart goes, oh, no, you don't get to do that, and closes the curtains. And you're back into that headspace. And you want to get back to it. And I'll just tell you that what happens is that quickness of that heart, that breathtaking moment that you sensed yourself, the next day, it goes a little slower, it opens a little longer, and you go, there it was. Okay, and then it disappears again. But very quickly, maybe even within the first week, it just opens, and then it just opens, and there is no closing, because you realize I'm not expecting anything. I'm not going to try to control it. I'm just going to sit in it. And then what occurs is not only, and I will tell you that I have learned over time, sometimes 30 minutes of monkey mind going on where I have just little glimpses, and then finally the brain waves naturally slow down as you sit there, as you get quiet. But like I say, just tell yourself, I only have to do 5 minutes. That window pretty soon starts to open every time you sit, because you're starting with heart energy. You're just going, okay, heart, let's see what's going on. And all I can say is you're going to very quickly, every human, everyone I know that does it, just those simple procedures. Don't try to quiet your mind. Don't worry about it. It's like a puppy that keeps wanting to run, and you go, oh, come on back, have a seat. And then you're quiet in your heart space, and you're kind of getting into it, and the puppy starts to run on a thought. Just reset it. Don't beat yourself up. That's my procedure, and it works. Just as much as you can go, okay, brain, I heard you. Reset, quiet down. I'm gonna visualize my heart opening. And very quickly, your technique, it's that procedure that pretty soon you'll see. You're going to call me one of these days and go, damn it, it happened today. And I'm going to go, yeah, I know, it happens for everybody. And then it's just like going to the gym. The more you tweak it, now I do it sometimes throughout my day. I'll be driving and I'm like, I need to pull over because I'm going to get dangerous here, because I need to quiet down, and I'm going to go into heart space, and I'm not really coherent with what's going on, and I don't care. I'm just going to pull off to the side, and I'm going to sit for a couple of minutes. Like, it gets that good. It gets that good when I'm feeling angst or nervous or anxious, and I'm like, what in the hell? I'm going to pull over. Like it just gets that good. That's how it gets that good, to realize I can come home. I can literally be at home with myself as love, literally at any moment on any day. And it becomes the most important thing that I do. It is the most important thing that I do. Hence, I mentioned it to Lincoln this morning. I'm like, I had another peak moment today in the sit. And he's like, wow. And he's starting to work that. He's starting to go to his own gym. And I'm just saying, your gym is available. It's a function of showing up. Right.
You say, nobody likes a bragger. Like, okay. So when you're like, it happened again, sounds like you're bragging a little bit.
Right. And it's one of those things where you realize I'm not doing it. I'm just showing up. And then this thing is just happening. It's like your guides. It's like you're not necessarily, you don't feel like you're necessarily, I don't feel like I'm necessarily controlling it. I'm just telling you from experience of kind of giving these procedures to other people. I'll get a message like, dude, happiest moment today. And I'm like, right on. Like, you're welcome to anybody going inside. It's available to everybody. And then it's so damn good. It's unspeakable. It's not, I can't define it.
I honestly think that if I ever got a text message like from you or anybody that was like, today's the best day of my life again, I think I would probably send the puke emoji.
Right. No. And you know, and what's great is you're saying that now, but at some point, see, I promise it's coming, because we're rolling with it, and it's going to happen for you, because you obviously tried it so much that you've gotten frustrated, but you've tried it from here. Yeah. And that's frustrating, but you'll see when you switch it, you should still send the puke thing, because that's funny and humans need a little laughter. But you should puke and go, well, so what? I've had like 7 in a row, bro. You know, like, you still got to have fun with humanity, right? Nobody has to be like spiritual, blah, 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 guru. Yeah, I want to puke too. I'm just saying, you know, keep it light, keep it fun, but stand the fuck by.
F around and find out type of thing.
I'm telling you, stand by. What's coming for you? Just stand by.
Anthony, do you have anything pressing, or, I mean, obviously we have more questions, but I mean.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a ton more questions, but I was going to say, and so at least to me, what it sounds like is when you're saying to turn that off and think with your heart, is or at least how I've had it explained to me, is basically tuning out your ego, tuning out that inner voice, which was, to me, instead of trying to ignore it, was to be like, I acknowledge it and go pat and okay, now next.
Yeah, a lot of people use, I mean, I hate to even talk about it, because then it forces you to go back to your brain. But all the, masters that talk about how to meditate will say, your brain's like a train going by, and each little car is a thought, and just let the train keep going by. And once in a while, you're going to attach to one of the train cars, but try to get off that train car and just let it all go by. But that's staying here. And I advise not to do that. What I'm saying is, what I've learned is, if you're just visualizing your big heart getting bigger and expansive, which it is, it's, you are a fractal of the universe, and you are the universe. You wrote your own damn script. Okay. You wrote this, not Michael. Yes. Anthony wrote the script for Anthony to be here in this moment. Okay. That's what the ETs say. You write your own script before you jump back into an avatar, because you wanted to grow again as love, and you're willing to jump on the earth, which is a really crazy ride for an avatar, harder than anybody else. Hence, we're considered royalty. You wrote this. You wrote to be here and go through this very difficult ride that is the quick passage of a lifetime in this avatar. So you get to remember that when you open, right, if right at the beginning, you're just thinking about your heart, and it's a big red pumpy thing, and it's opening, whatever it takes, bro, whatever it takes, stay your 5 minutes. And if the next day you feel like, I just spun, I got caught in brain, I couldn't open the heart, it's okay. keep going to the gym. Not only will that blink start, I will guarantee you the blink starts happening because you're opening from your heart. Your heart wants to step out and show you what you've always known but have forgotten, which is you were heart before you came in. You were love before you came in, and you'll be love when this avatar dies. Nothing changes for you. You're love, all right? And when you open your heart and really kind of reconnect with what you were before you came in, when you just literally come back home for a second, you're going to have that blink where you go, oh, okay, I got it. That was it. And once you have just a hint of it, it's like that. It's beyond the best drug. You just go, oh, I want that little blink again. And then maybe it happens the next day. And then you're like, and you'll see it's addictive because it's who you are. You're coming home and you know it when you're home. And there's no, I've had days literally where I'm just stressed out and I'm this, that, and the other, and the book's not coming along and I'm this, that, and the other. I'm like, it can't be that important. I'm just going to go sit. And at the times where I think nothing is going to happen, and then I'm just going to spin in my brain, or I've been spinning in my brain for 20 minutes trying to sit, I'm just like, God, I'm swearing at myself, like, I just want it to get quiet. It'll be on that day that all of a sudden I just sense it, and I'm transparent, and I'm like, I'm in it. It's no longer a blink. It's just, and then you're in that unspeakable place, and you realize even on my worst days, as my multidimensional self, it takes a minute to get there, sometimes 20 minutes. But because it's so addictive, this morning went for an hour and whatever, and I didn't even want to do shows today. It was so good. I thought if I missed all the shows, like in the midst of my being love itself, I thought if I missed all the shows, is that the best thing I can do for everybody? Because it's that good. I'm like, I could just blow off these shows. I'm telling you, that is available to everyone, right? All the time.
Lincoln definitely would have gotten a puke emoji if that email came my way.
Isn't it great when a decorated combat veteran can talk like that? What's wild is when I heard Michael Jaco on Cosmic Disclosure, and he was more of a badass than I am. I mean, I might be a badass, by God. I'm kidding. I'm talking about SEAL Team 6, bro. All right? Those dudes, that's next level, right? I'm not that. I'm a Marine pilot, whatever. He's SEAL Team 6. Okay, that's just that's as hard as it gets if you're selected for that unit. And then he's taken into the secret space programs. And then this is Michael Jaco on Gaia TV going, the final thing I did was we were just getting into realizing that they wanted us to get training in fighting with love. And I'm like, yeah. Because by that moment, I had realized, like, well, this is way more powerful than anything humans. I mean, it's unstoppable. Like we can move like literally when we step into what we are, we all have the ability to literally move a mountain with this. And it seems like, no way, that's just fucking far-fetched and I need to send him 6 puke signals. I'm going to promise you, they don't send a platoon to Venus to learn to fight with love unless they thought this wins the fight, because the Cabal is all about getting the next territory and gaining ground and manipulating and controlling more things. So if they think love is the biggest, strongest weapon, which of course they know it is, just think about it. You own that thing.
Two-part question. Just real quick. There was a lot of stuff here that you're like, we'll discuss later. And then obviously we didn't get to it. But I mean, is there anything for your first time on here? So first time, because there will be more, hopefully. Sure. But I mean, is there anything that we have not gotten to that you think is just important that you want to touch base on? And then second question, which you can just go right into it, is where would people be able to, I mean, obviously Amazon, but I mean, do you have other places in which you would like them to go or where people can find you and more stuff on your research beyond
Sure.
that?
Sure. So first of all, it's been an honor to be on with you, Michael and Anthony. It's been really, really fun. And
Thank you.
we'll come back together again soon after you guys both get through Hush. Then you'll have a lot more questions. But again, if you get through some of the stuff that we discussed in the program, you're going to have a ton more questions. But a lot of them will be answered. So maybe you won't need me anymore. But they can certainly go to mdselig.com. There's a lot of links there. And I'm not much of a social media guy, but Lincoln informs me that on Instagram, I think you go to @real.mdselig to get a bunch of links there that are the latest podcasts. I think there were, I don't know, in the last 2 days, like 6 that I've done. Like I'm doing a lot of podcasts. So that'll certainly catch you up. And the final thing I'll say, kind of to answer the second part of your question about what might I say is kind of the first time on the program, it's going to get really rough in the next 3 to 4 months, really rough in the media, on the planet. Step forward from your heart. You'll be fine. You'll be able to discern what's real, what's not real, what's false flag, what's not. It's going to be fine. We've got a bajillion, it almost feels like a bajillion races around us that are here for this transition. There's nothing, literally nothing to be afraid of. If you're stepping into your heart space, you'll make the right decisions, but it will get rough before it gets better. And then as it does, which is coming very quickly here, and I mean within months, it's occurring right now, but you're going to know that you have been welcomed into the galactic community and there's absolutely nothing to fear.
Well, I think that's the best positive ending I've ever had after 365 shows. So
I want a couple pukes for that one, by the way. I need a couple emojis.
But again, thank you for coming on. This has been amazing. And like I said, unless we actually cut it off, we're going to be talking till 10 o'clock tonight.
For sure.
Yes,
for sure.
But
are you got your predictions for the Super Bowl, by the way? Because I'm not sure which team is favored. I haven't followed it, but I like football. I just don't follow it anymore because I'm so damn busy.
Both Anthony and I are going for Seattle.
You are? Yeah. You mean they're expected to win? Like who is Vegas favoring? I don't care what you guys think. You guys are just.
I honestly don't.
My guy told me about that.
Yeah.
Oh, because usually Vegas is pretty darn accurate.
I think it's probably going to be Seattle. I mean, I could look it up, but it's going to take a few minutes.
So now he knows. Now he knows the way you really bet on the damn thing, because very rare are they wrong. But anyway, okay, so you're thinking Seattle. Okay. I mean, I did part of my growing up there, yeah.
But yeah, and as Anthony said, I think before the show, thank you for your service.
Oh yeah, thanks. It's been an honor to be on with both of you. So we'll do it again soon for sure.
Yes, we will. Good luck in writing your volume 2.
You got it.
But hang out. Don't go anywhere.
Okay.
We're just ending the show.
You got it.
But yeah, so for anybody who's listening to the show, go out and get Hush. Both Anthony and I have made it through the audiobook, which is read and narrated, and special effects are all from you. And it's honestly an exceptional read, or listen, I guess, if you want to do the audiobook. But Amazon, go out and get it. But until you're done with that, till the next time that you're on, really appreciate it. And for everyone else, stay healthy, stay safe. We want to see you back here. Everyone, have a good rest of the week.